What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. Joel with Malicious Mischief. Today, we're going to be doing a review of this Honda 2020 Rebel that's parked here behind me. Now, I know you guys are thinking, bait and switch, got a picture of a pretty blonde on the thumbnail, and then you guys log into the video and you got me. It's not a bait and switch, I promise. The pretty blonde is my daughter. The motorcycle belongs to her. There will be some footage of her riding it a little bit later, but she was a little too shy to be on camera and didn't want to be interviewed about the bike. So she gave me the bike, she gave me the keys, and we're doing a review on the motorcycle. So again, this is a 2020 Honda Rebel, and it's a great first bike. Now, I want to get into a little bit of history of the bike and tell you about where it came from, like we do with our use and abuse reviews. But before we get into that, you may be asking, Joel, what the heck do you know about motorcycles? We know you know trucks because you're doing Project 250. We got other reviews that we've done for you guys on the vehicles and the cars and stuff. What about motorcycles? Fair question. So I have been riding motorcycles since I was about 10 years old. Mostly did off-road stuff until I was 16, 17. Bought my first motorcycle when I was 20, first street bike when I was 20, and it was, I will throw up a picture, it was a 1998 Honda CBR 600. It was Smokin' Joe's edition, and it was incredible. I wish I still had that bike. That thing was fantastic. I never should have got rid of it. But that said, I did a ton of riding on that. Lots of other motorcycles that I've ridden over the years, and by no means am I an expert, but if you guys were expecting experts, you wouldn't be watching this channel. So we're going to give you our review on this motorcycle, and it's based on that experience. So okay, so with that out of the way, let's get into the history of this motorcycle. So this bike is part of the CMX series that Honda built, and that line can trace its roots all the way back to 1978. In 1978, you had the CM185 Twin Star. That bike was really what started the CMX line. That bike they made until 1982 when the CM250 Custom came out. Now, my parents actually had a couple of Customs. They bought them one day, just came home with two of them in the back of the pickup truck. They used to love to ride motorcycles together, and it was super cool. So they brought those, and of course they let us kids ride them. Mostly that was off-road. We were too little to be riding on the highway at that time, but the 250 went from 82 until I believe 85. That's when the first CMX came out. That was the CMX 250, and that's the Rebel. The Rebel came in 1985, and they built it all the way up to 2016 with various versions of the bike throughout then. 2017 is the change to this bike. So this is the CMX300. There's also a CMX500, and they make those bikes 2017, 18, 19, 20, and I was just looking online. The 2021 appears to be the same bike without any major modifications. All right, so this bike is an excellent first bike. My preference is to teach people to ride motorcycles off-road, let them learn to ride off-road for a few years before they ever get on the street. Reason being is if you're just learning to ride off-road, you can just focus on riding. You can focus on learning how to ride the bike, how the bike's going to respond in different situations. You're riding a dirt bike, so if you drop it or run into something, as long as you don't do it too hard, bike will be fine. I've actually jumped a CR250 off of about a 20-foot cliff. I landed in a tree, the bike didn't, and all I had to do to get it going again was to kick the front wheel until it was straight with the handlebars again and kept riding it. So they are super tough, and that's a whole lot better than if you're worried about bikes with fairings or hitting other cars on the highway. You also don't have to worry about what crazy people are doing on the highway when they don't see you and don't pay attention. So it kind of separates the whole learning to ride a motorcycle and learning to ride a motorcycle on the streets. First you get a ride. Once you get comfortable with the bike, then you can ride on the street. Now, that's how I learned to ride. I thought it worked out fantastic. I've never had any major issues, and I've been riding for a lot of years. The question, is this a good first bike? Answer, yes. For a couple of reasons. First of all, this bike has 27 horsepower and 27 foot-pounds of torque. It is not a super powerful bike, but that's great because that means it's not going to be popping wheelies and throwing you off the back of it and getting you into trouble because you're riding a 100 horsepower sport bike like I chose to get on for my first street bike. The other thing that I really like about it is that this bike weighs 370 pounds. That is light enough that most people, even women, even girls like my daughter, are strong enough to be able to pick that back up if you happen to dump it. Now, she hasn't dumped hers, and God willing, she never will. But if you do, those extra few pounds make a big difference. 370, I feel like it's just right there at the limit for you to be able to get it lifted back up by yourself. Now, Honda does make a 500 version of this Rebel, and it weighs about 50 pounds more. It does have a lot more horsepower and torque, though. Instead of 27, it's got 35, 45. So you definitely pick up some more horsepower, quite a bit more torque, but you're also picking up another 50 pounds of weight. And again, if you're a woman or if you don't have a ton of upper body strength, that extra 50 pounds may be the difference between you being able to get it stood back up when you accidentally dump it in a parking lot, and you having to be able to wait on till somebody comes by and help you stand it back up. This bike's got a 6-speed manual transmission, which is great because it means it gets fantastic gas mileage. It gets between 60 and 70 miles to gallon, depending on how you're riding it. And it does 0 to 60 in 9 to 10 seconds. Again, it's not a sport bike. It's not a crotch rocket by any means. But it's super cool looking. I love the way it looks. It's got a little bit of a cafe racer style to it. And I love the paint job that she chose on it. And not just coincidentally because it happens to match the Raptor. I just think it looks really awesome. I love it. It's a little bit retro without being a retro bike, and it's got some awesome lines on it. So those are its horsepower and torque figures, and its performance and stuff like that, all of which combine to make it an excellent first bike. In addition to that, something else that makes it a super great bike for beginning riders and for smaller people is it's got a 27-inch seat height. So you can see it is not super large. You're not going to be standing on your tiptoes for the most part if you've got any kind of height. Now I'm, as you guys know, 6'5", so it doesn't matter for me. There's 8 inches between me and the bottom of the seat when I ride it. But if you're a little bit shorter, or like my daughter, it fits her perfect. She's pretty tall for a girl, but she definitely is comfortable on the bike, and she can get her feet both planted flat on the ground when she comes to a stop, which really helps with your confidence and your safety when you're riding. If you're standing on your toes, it's real hard to keep the bike steady. It's also not very confidence inspiring. If you can get both of those feet flat on the ground, you'll feel a lot better. So the bike is definitely good for that. Okay, so let's talk about the engine on this thing. The engine on this bike is a 286cc single cylinder. They round up to 300 for marketing, but it's 286cc single cylinder engine. It does have dual overhead cams, and it does have a chain, timing chain to run those cams. So that means from a longevity standpoint, the bike will be super reliable. Nice reliable engine. The rest of the components on the bike, super reliable. It's a Honda. Obviously, my experience with Hondas is that they just freaking last forever. So that's fantastic. The engine is liquid cooled, so you can see at the front of the bike there, it's got radiators, and or it's got a radiator, and that just makes it really nice for if you're riding in the summer. You don't have to worry about the bike overheating, having major problems or what have you. It just stays rock steady on that. It's got a 3-gallon gas tank, which at that 60 to 70 miles per gallon means that it's got a range of 180 to 210-ish miles. Definitely long enough that you need a break to get off the bike and grab, walk around, stretch your legs or what have you before it needs fuel. So that to me seems like a pretty good range, especially for a bike that's either going to be a commuter for short distances or a fun bike for going out and riding around. Range should be really good on that. Additionally, Honda does offer ABS and non-ABS models of this bike. The price was the same when my daughter bought it. She went ahead and went with the ABS. So this bike does have the ABS on it. And the reason why is because I think for less experienced riders, the ABS is definitely going to help you if you grab the brake too hard, or if you hit some water or something, the bike starts to slide. It's going to help keep it from sliding. It's going to keep that wheel turning and help you get that additional control. It does add a little bit of weight to the bike, the system that they put on there, but I do think it's definitely worth it, especially if you are a newer rider who hasn't crashed a lot of dirt bikes. All right, so that pretty much wraps up this review of this bike. The conclusion, it's a fantastic bike. I think it is excellent. I think that it is a pretty darn good price for a brand new bike. I'm not going to quote the prices on it because they're going to vary across the country. They're also going to vary depending on what the what the deals are. But go look them up. It's awfully reasonable for a brand new bike that comes with factory warranty. And if you do finance it through Honda Finance, they'll give you an option of extending out that factory warranty for like 4 or 5 years, something ridiculous like that. So the bike itself though is awesome. I have ridden it a couple times. I really enjoyed it. It's got enough power. You know, it's not, like I said, it's not bringing the front wheel off the ground all the time like my CBR was, but it's got a quarter of the horsepower that my CBR did. It doesn't feel underpowered though. It feels like it's got plenty of power for just goofing around and having some fun. So like I said, excellent first bike. I would highly recommend it. If any of my other kids decide to buy motorcycles and want to get something new, I will definitely be recommending that they get one of these, and would recommend it for you too. So yeah, check it out. If you're interested in the bike, we're going to give it 2 thumbs up. So. Okay guys, I am going to fess up that I'm standing in front of a green screen and the motorcycle is in a garage across country. So this is our first attempt at green screen. Hopefully it comes out good. We did have the bike here, as you noticed from some of the integrated footage, or as you'll notice from some of the integrated footage. But we ran out of time to do the review on it before my daughter had to take and go back to school. I've been trying to get this put together for you guys. Between the Project 250 and the stuff that's been going on with the Raptor, we just haven't had time. So wanted to make sure to get this out to you before any time went on, and we got this awesome green screen, so we thought we'd try it out. But if you notice anything a little funny, just want to fess up, this is our first green screen. Hopefully it turns out awesome. Hopefully you couldn't tell, but if you could, that's why. New feature that we're going to be starting for the channel is the Mischief Mafia Hall of Fame. So this is where you guys send in pictures of your rigs, and we're going to put them on the channel here. So the very first one is this awesome Raptor here. This actually comes from Linwood 82, but you're first, and we're going to put his truck up on our wall. We're going to create a wall, and we will be putting pictures of everybody's rigs. So if you've got something that you would like us to show on the channel, our email address is in the description in the About Us. Click on that and just send us a picture with a little bit of information about it, and we'll put it up on the channel. So that's just a way that we can, get to do something cool for you guys that have subscribed and are part of the Malicious Mischief Mafia. I think that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you know when we're hanging out. And if you want to follow us on Mischief for All, that's our Instagram channel. You get behind the scenes stuff, a heads up on new things coming, and we're going to be working on building that as we go along. So thanks so much. I love you. Talk to you soon.